Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. This is the second in the series of Reading Between the Lines, Maximizing Your Marks. And here we are focused on experimenting with music. Before I go on, please do subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any future updates. Now, one of the two approaches that largely appear in the work that has been submitted to the IB are, firstly, where students select a genre or an artist as the source material and then develop 3 excerpts that create in that particular fashion. The second strategy is when the student selects a stimulus work and then works it into new contexts. Now, although it is possible to score well with the first of these strategies, it is advocated that the second strategy will likely yield better results, as the scope for transformation, which is your ultimate goal, is clearly more achievable. Moving to evaluation, there is reference to evaluation in the Contemporary Music Maker as it forms part of the assessment process, but it isn't specifically requested in the written work of experimenting with music. But what is repeatedly mentioned is to explain the process of experimentation and to illustrate the process of developing ideas. Part of the May 2024 subject report, it's even stated in very explicit terms, and I quote, "Students should remember to offer some evaluation after each experimenting excerpt. This may be a negative evaluation if the student feels the experiment has not produced a useful result," unquote. What is also mentioned in the subject reports is that many students mention the area of inquiry or the context at the start of their rationale, but leave it there. Additional references throughout the rationale would be extremely helpful because a student can then demonstrate a comprehensive understanding of these features and through these regular references, therefore, develop an effective justification. I would also add that information that relates to typical or atypical features of the stimulus work would help in representing the AOI and therefore mapping out an effective course of experimentation as well. One other aspect that has come out of these subject reports is that research isn't always being used effectively. So learning that a particular musical characteristic of a selected source material is a feature of that genre could in turn inform the experimentation process. So it is my recommendation and that of the examiners in the subject reports that this particular aspect of including research is not neglected. So to summarize, information that has come out of these subject reports and is not explicitly mentioned in the guide is that 1, it is best if students have a singular, non-student created work that acts as a stimulus. 2, that the local or global context is clearly defined and referred to repeatedly throughout the rationale. 3, the reference to the area of inquiry is similarly not only made at the beginning, but referenced later in the rationale with the intent to develop a line of argument. 4, the area of inquiry is appropriately justified, so students need to make sure that they do understand comprehensively what the area of inquiry encapsulates. 5, that research is included so that students make informed decisions, and this guides the experimentation process, ultimately revealing a process that demonstrates the application of relevant findings. 6, the use of vocabulary adopted should be subject specific. 7, an evaluation of the experimentation excerpt is paramount to help inform the subsequent one. And finally, by the third and final excerpt, the material has been transformed. I have decided to summarize all this information in the form of a visual representation. So one may think of this as a caterpillar, if you like, where the stimulus piece at the beginning is clearly defined. There's obviously one for creating and one separate one for performing. The AOI is clearly defined and it comes from local or a global context. Now, one needs to water this tree, if you like, that a caterpillar will climb up with justification and research. You move towards your first excerpt, and it is preferable to have a source of inspiration in which to develop your ideas for this first excerpt. The excerpt then undergoes some evaluation that could be positive or negative, and that moves to the second excerpt. And again, a source of inspiration is preferable to inform that second excerpt. Remember too that the information that is included in the written work should be purposeful, relevant, and the vocabulary should be subject specific. Again, that second excerpt undergoes evaluation and that information should appear in the written work. And finally, this moves towards the third and final excerpt, where the application of all the findings are found to be encapsulated in that final excerpt. Again, a source of inspiration is preferable to help in the creation of this final phase. And the caterpillar there has transformed itself into a beautiful butterfly. I hope that this has been helpful and it has provided some insight into unpacking the information in the very important subject reports. Thank you all very much.